Dear students, good morning. I am Dr. Shafina Banu, Associate Professor, Head Department of Economics, C. Kandaswamy Naidu College for Women, Cuddalore. Today, let me start with the topic money supply. Actually, this chapter comes in Unit 4 of our students comes under Trivallur University, especially for BA Economics students, um, that too in monetary economics paper second years. Okay, today let me give you a brief idea about this money supply. My intention is that the students must know the content of this supply of money so that they can prepare for their exam. So it is I have given a brief information about supply of money as per the syllabus. Okay. This in a modern economy, money is a complex phenomenon. Not only in modern economy, from the beginning, it's very difficult to define the concept money. According to Professor Crowther, money is what money does. This is how we can give the explanation or definition for the term money. Okay. So in a modern economy, money is doing a lot. Okay. The term supply of money means the total amount of domestic money owned by the public in a country. So here they meant that the total amount of domestic money owned by the public in a country. The term public refers all types of holders of money other than the central government, treasury, central bank, and the commercial banks. Okay, this we have to remember, especially the students, we have to remember the term public refers all types of holders of money other than the central bank, that is Reserve Bank of India, then treasury, central bank, and the commercial banks. Okay, that is they meant the money in circulation in the public. It includes individuals, that is the public includes individuals, business firms, state and local government bodies. Okay, so that the money will be in a fast circulation, the velocity of circulation will be high. So here supply of money includes individuals, business firms, state and local government bodies, etc. So this is how we can give you a brief explanation for the term money. You see here, the money supply in a country refers to the total stock of money in circulation. So this the students can remember. It's very easy to write also. Total stock of money in circulation. In other words, the supply of money in any particular time means the total amount of money in circulation at the moment of time. That is, it may be 1 year or it may be. So usually we used to calculate the moment of time is 1 year calculation. Thus, the term supply of money is synonymous with such terms as money stock, stock of money, money supply, and quantity of money. So, these are all similar terms to supply of money. So here the students can easily write, even if they get to 2 marks question, what is mean by money supply, they can easily write total stock of money in circulation, or the supply of money in any particular time is the total amount of money in circulation at the moment of time. These two lines they can write. Okay. The total money supply in a country consists of currency money, that is metallic coins and paper notes issued by the central bank or the central government, and two, the demand deposits held by the public with the commercial banks. Okay, this is the total money supply in a country. So students, they can have to remember only the 2 points here. Since you are all in UG students, I have given the simple explanation here. That is currency money in circulation, that is metallic coins and paper notes issued by the central bank or the central government. The central government, that is central bank means RBI issued currency notes and central government issued notes. Okay, then second one, demand deposits held by the public with the commercial banks. The next, so for the term money supply, we have given a brief introduction. Next, we will see what are the views given by the economist about the supply of money. So different views of money supply. There are different views with regard to the concept of money supply. They are the traditional approach, modern approach, Gurley and Shaw's approach, Redcliffe Committee's approach, Reserve Bank of India's approach. So this you can get these approaches. You can get in a 10 marks question or 5 marks question. Any one of the approaches they'll ask for this. First, let me start with the traditional approach. The most common view or conventional approach or traditional approach to the concept of money supply is associated with the traditional and Keynesian ideas. So here, this approach is associated with the Keynesian ideas, which stress the medium of exchange function of money. So when the money was invented after the failure of barter system, the first and foremost function of money was, even now it is medium of, it is used for medium of exchange, or it is used as medium of exchange. Okay. So even the traditional approach also stresses the function, medium of exchange function of money. According to this approach, money supply is defined as currency with the public and demand deposits with the commercial banks. Currency with the public and the demand deposits with the commercial banks. Demand deposits are the liquid form of money because the depositors can withdraw the amount at any time. So it is like a currency because the depositors can withdraw that money at any time. So that is why it is called demand deposits. Demand deposits plus currency with the public are denoted as M1. That is money. M1, the money supply. This is regarded as a narrower view of money supply, we can say. So this is the traditional approach gives only the essence of this approaches. It gives the idea that is the money is used as a medium of exchange, and the money supply is nothing but currency with the public and the demand deposits with the commercial banks. Then the supply of money is denoted by the letter M1. Okay. The next is the modern approach. The second concept of money supply is broader, and it is associated with the modern quantity theorist headed by Milton Friedman. Milton Friedman includes in the money supply of money not only the currency and demand deposits, but also time deposits of the commercial banks, because his idea is that money is having the store of value function of money. That is why he includes the time deposits of the commercial banks. This wider definition is characterized as M2 in America and M3 in Britain and India. It stresses the store of value function of money. The traditional approach actually stresses the medium of exchange function of money, but Milton Friedman or the modern approach stresses the store of value function of money. That is why they have included the time deposits of the commercial banks under the money supply. Okay, the next one is Gurley and Shaw's approach. These two economists combined together, they have given this analysis. That is why this is called as Gurley and Shaw's approach. The third concept of money supply is the broadest and is associated with Gurley and Shaw's. In their major theoretical work, Money in a Theory of Finance, Professor John G. Gurley and Edward S. Shaw have held that money should include all the liabilities of non-bank financial intermediaries as well, because they also constitute liquid assets closely substitutable for money. They emphasize the close substitution relationship between currency, demand deposits, commercial bank time deposits, savings bank deposits, credit institutions shares, government bonds, etc., all of which are regarded as alternative record store of value by the public. So here their approach is more elaborate than the modern approach, because they have included the liabilities of non-bank financial intermediaries also. That is why they have given the money supply includes here the demand deposits, currency, commercial bank time deposits, savings bank deposits, credit institutions shares, government bonds, sector, bonds, etc. All of which are regarded as an alternative record stores of value by the public. Store of value function of money is also emphasized here. The next one is Redcliffe Committee approach. Actually, under the head of Professor Redcliffe, one committee was organized. That is why this is called as Redcliffe Committee approach. Here we can see that, and altogether a new line of thinking and a much wider concept of money supply is propounded by the Professor Redcliffe Committee, the Committee on the Working of the Monetary System in England in 1939. This committee held that in a modern economy, money may be defined in terms of spendability. That is how the people are spending. The spending times the fast, that is the circulation, money in circulation for expenditure. Okay. Money may be defined in terms of spendability. Liquidity refers to the ability of an asset to be converted into spendable form without any delay. That is why the liquid cash is nothing but spendable cash. That is, it is without any delay, that money can be easily spent or easily used for the expenditures. Okay, so liquidity is very important in determining the supply of money. So Redcliffe Committee have given importance to the concept liquidity. Okay, liquid, that is ready cash. Then the other concept is spendability. So liquidity is very important in determining the supply of money. Hence, the concept of money supply should be viewed in terms is the general liquidity, which includes cash, bank deposits of all kinds, deposits with other financial institutions, near money, assets, borrowing facilities, etc. So all these items are having liquidity. So that is why when there is a liquidity, when there is spendability, that comes under money supply. That is the main cause or main factor responsible for money supply. This is idea given by Professor Redcliffe and also his committee. The next committee, that is the last approach, is the Reserve Bank of India approach. This is more important one. The report of the second working group on money supply of the Reserve Bank of India, published in the year 1979, it gives a meaningful definition of money supply. This definition is very clear, rather than other approaches. According to this group, money supply is both the economic and a policy controlled variable. The supply of money as an economic variable is influenced by the portfolio behavior of the public and the banks. Portfolio behavior of the public and the banks. As a policy controlled variable, it is affected by the policies of the monetary authorities. Based on this criterion, the group suggested four constituents of money supply. They are, so they have given some classifications for this money supply. They are the Reserve Bank of India approach. Here you see four classifications they have given. Number one, M1, M2, M3, and M4 are the currency plus demand deposits of all commercial banks and cooperative banks. Okay. M1 is nothing but, here we need not include these three terms. Okay. First, M1 is nothing but M1 is equal to currency plus demand deposits of all commercial banks and cooperative banks. Here it is not correct. We have to exclude this M2, M3, and M4. It is wrongly given in this PPTs. Please, sorry for my mistake. Actually, M1 is equal to currency plus demand deposits of all commercial banks and cooperative banks. M2 is equal to this M1 plus saving deposits with the post office saving banks. Then M3 is equal to this M2. Okay, actually here it comes, and M2 plus time deposits of commercial banks and cooperative banks. Then M4 is equal to M3 plus total deposits with post office savings banks. This classification is based on descending order of liquidity. So here I have done two mistakes here. The first one, you have to eliminate this M2, M3, and M4. Okay, M1 is equal to currency plus demand deposits of all commercial banks and cooperative banks, that you have to read. Likewise here M3 is equal to M2. Okay, M2 plus time deposits of commercial banks and cooperative banks. Okay, sorry for my mistake. So this we have to remember, this classification is based on descending order of liquidity. So M1, the components comes under M1 will have more liquidity than M2, M3, M4. Likewise, the components comes under M2 is having more liquidity than M3 and M4. So that is why we used to say this classification is based on descending order of liquidity. So very clearly, the RBI approach have given this classification for money supply. The next, we have to see about the determinants of money supply. Yeah, this is what are the factors which determines the money supply, that we have to that I am going to explain here. The total money supply in the economy is made up of cash in circulation and demand deposits in commercial banks. Cash in circulation and demand deposits in commercial banks. Cash is created by the government and the central bank. That is, the government of India is the lower denomination, and RBI issues the higher denomination of cashes. That is why the money is printed and published, currency is printed and published by the government and RBI. There exist two different views with regard to the determinants of money supply. According to the first view, the money supply is determined exogenously by the central bank of the country. The second view holds that the money supply is determined endogenously by the changes in economic activities which affect people's desire to hold currency. In this regard, these 2 points you have to remember carefully. First one is the exogenous factor. Second one is endogenously by the changes in economic activities which affect people's desire to hold currency. In this regard, Chandler starts that the major determinants of money supply in an economy are. He has given, based on these two views, Professor Chandler has given the major determinants of money supply. Okay, here you see the Chandler's classification. The first determinant is the size of the monetary base. The second one, community's choice regarding cash and credit proportions in holding money. Third one, the cash reserve ratio. Fourth one, velocity of circulation of money. These are the four determinants of money supply in an economy, according to Professor Chandler's classification. Okay, first one, let us start with the size of the monetary base. In a modern economy, an important determinant of the money supply is the monetary base. The term monetary base refers to the supply of funds available for use either as cash or as central bank's reserves. Okay, the term monetary base refers to the supply of funds available for use either as cash or as central bank's reserves. Okay, the second one, community's choice. Okay, here the relative amount of cash and demand deposits which the community wishes to hold has great significance. That is how much we are going to have a ready cash in our hand, that is liquid cash. How much we are going to keep as demand deposits in the bank. Okay, these two the term community vision, these two factors have great significance on this money supply. If the people are in the habit of keeping less in cash and more in the form of deposits with the commercial banks, the supply of money will be more. You see, that is, if the people are in the habit of keeping less in cash and more in the form of deposits with the commercial banks means this deposited amount will be given as loan to some other persons. Okay, then those persons will start an enterprise and they will start production, and they will give employment opportunities to some people, and then they'll be getting salary. So the circulation of money will be very fast. That is why the supply of money will be more, we can say. Otherwise if the people kept more money in cash means the supply of money will be somewhat lesser, okay, compared to this one. This is because the bank can create more credit with larger deposits. This is what I said now. That is, the banks can create more credit means bank can give loans to many people with the help of the larger deposits. So this will helps for the economic development also by giving by giving more employment opportunities and by increasing the production. Likewise, on the other hand, if people do not having banking habits and prefer to keep their money in cash, credit creation will be less and money supply will also be low. This is the second factor, that is the community's choice of having whether in terms of cash or in bank deposits. Okay. Further, the community's preference for money is a liquid asset also depends on monetization. In an economy with a higher degree of monetization, people will demand more money. So the government would create more supply of money. So monetization is also more important in this factor. The next one is the cash reserve ratio. Cash reserve ratio is a main important concept in monetary policy. Actually, the open market operations, cash reserve ratio, then bank rate are all them components of monetary policy. Among these three, this cash reserve ratio is more important, which determines the money supply. Whether it is money supply, whether in an economy the money supply will be more or less, that can be controlled or expanded with the help of this cash reserve ratio. The cash reserve ratio is another important determinant of the quantity of money. It determines the multiplied coefficient of credit creation. You see, it is very simple. We can explain here. The reserve ratio refers refers to the cash which every commercial bank is required to keep in the form of deposits with the central bank. Each and every commercial bank is getting deposits from the public. From the deposits, okay, some amount, some ratio of the money or cash will be must be deposited in the central bank with the central bank. That ratio is called the cash reserve ratio. The central bank influences the reserves of the commercial banks. The central bank requires all the commercial banks to hold reserves equal to a fixed percentage of both time and demand deposits. That is, suppose if there is a bank called Indian Overseas Bank or Indian Bank, they are getting, for example, they are getting for about 10 lakhs of both time and demand deposits per year means, among this 10 lakhs time and demand deposits, they have to keep some fixed percentage of cash with the central bank. Okay, that is the, that percentage is called the cash reserve ratio. Okay, so this ratio, cash reserve ratio, is determined by the central bank, determined by the central bank according to the inflationary trend in the economy. If there is more inflation, hyperinflation in an economy, the bank will increase the cash reserve ratio. Okay, but if there is somewhat depression or recession in the economy, then the bank will decline the cash reserve ratio, and it will make the it will make the circulation of money more, and the supply of money will be floated in the economy. Okay, this is how the bank will decide about this reserve ratio. Required reserves are determined by the required reserve ratio and the level of deposits of the commercial banks. So RR, okay, XD, where RR record reserves, RR1 record reserve ratio, and D deposits. An increase in the reserve ratio reduces the supply of money. This is what I have given the example. An increase in the reserve ratio reduces the supply of money. This step will be taken at the time of inflation in the economy. For example, if the total deposits amount to rupees 80 lakhs and reserve ratio is 20%, the RR will be rupees 16 lakhs. Okay, that is the cash reserve ratio. Cash reserves is 16 lakhs. So this R, if RR1 is reduced to 10%, then RR will be 8 lakhs. So this is how and the government can control or increase the money supply in an economy with the help of this cash reserve ratio. So this cash reserve ratio also determines the money supply in an economy. Next one is velocity of circulation. The supply of money is a stock at a particular time. So in order to find out the supply of money over a period of time, we have to consider the velocity of circulation of money. The main function of money is to serve as a medium of exchange. So, a unit of money may be spent several times during a given period. Here comes the concept, the velocity of circulation of money. A unit of money may be spent several times during a given period. The average number of times money is transferred from one person to another person in a given period of time is known as velocity of circulation of money. If the velocity of circulation of money is higher, the supply of money will also be higher in an economy. So the velocity of circulation of money also plays an important role in determining the money supply. So in this class, I have given you three important concepts. The first one is the meaning for the term supply of money. Second one, different approaches, views about this concept money supply. Third one is what are all the factors which determines money supply. So today, let me finish this PPT with these three concepts.